Coming off a 32-33 loss versus the Oregon Ducks, the 2024 Ohio State Buckeyes are proving me right. So today on the Ballhead Podcast, I'm your host T. Allen. I am going to talk to you guys about why I believe Ohio State will not win the national championship under Ryan Day. Stay tuned. If you are an Ohio State football fan and you watched my previous videos criticizing the program, today is your day to go ahead and apologize to me. I accept all apologies because I told all of you Ohio State fans one thing. Just because Ryan Day is spending the money, which was allegedly reported that Ohio State spent $20 million in NIL money, it will not lead to a national championship. And the main reason being is that Ryan Day was panicking. Now, T. Allen, let's talk about it. Ryan Day went out there and hired Bill O'Brien to become his next offensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien then left Ohio State to go take the head coaching job at Boston College. And then he went out there and hired Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly was widely recognized as an innovative offensive mind at one point when he was the head coach at Oregon. But also he is known as a coach that players just don't like. They don't really get along with Chip Kelly. He doesn't really value player relationships. So in my mind and in my honest opinion, that was a bad hire. Ryan Day is one of the best offensive minds in all of football, college, high school, or pros. So that was one sign of weakness in my opinion. Also, he chose not to re-sign running back coach Tony Alford. And not only did he not re-sign Tony Alford, he lost him to Michigan, a guy who was a big part of Ohio State's recruiting. And many people out there can argue that Tony Alford was probably the second best recruiter at Ohio State, behind obviously Brian Hartline. I mean, if you guys go back and look at Tony Alford's track record, he was responsible for recruiting a lot of those defensive players. So it wasn't as simple as not re-signing a running back coach. You lost a big part of your team. You lost a big voice in that locker room with Tony Alford. So that was strike two for me. Also, the improvements that needed to be made on the defensive side of the football, I didn't see possible because the Michigan Wolverines just beat Ohio State 3 years in a row, and they gave the entire world the blueprint on how to beat Ohio State. Just out physical them. In the matchup versus the Oregon Ducks, we saw one thing very, very evident. That model is true. Ohio State had less passing yards than Oregon and less rushing yards. Quayshawn Judkins only had 23 yards rushing. Now, Travion Henderson did have 87 yards rushing, but when you compare that to a player like Jordan James, who had 115 yards rushing, he was also the primary running back in that game versus Ohio State, as opposed of Ohio State having a two running back system and still having less rushing yards. That has a lot to do with the line of scrimmage. That has a lot to do with physicality. And I'm going to say this again. Ohio State will not win the national championship this year. After this year, Will Howard will go on, and they're going to have to lean on Aaron Nolan or Julian Sayin, a redshirt freshman quarterback for their future. So guys, you can say whatever you want to say. I was right. I accept all apologies. Ohio State will not win the national championship. They are not physical enough. So that is $20 million well spent. If not now, when? This is the Ballhead Podcast, and I'm your host, T. Allen. I'm out. Peace.